This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. The Herd sponsored by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer. Keep your car running longer. We are packed today. NBA draft tonight. Joy Taylor is joining me.
Morning, Colin.
She has full-time insurance now with the show. She is getting full pay. I mean, it's like a team here now. It's very exciting. Ready to go. Baker Mayfield, 35 minutes. He doesn't like me. Get your popcorn ready. Let me start with this. Tonight, Cleveland is your last shot. This is it. In football, it's called a Hail Mary. One shot. It's tonight. Because from what we hear, LeBron's down to two teams. He likes L.A. and he likes Cleveland. And LeBron, in the last, couple of weeks, is looking at the Lakers. They made a deal last night. Accumulating another second-round pick appears to be a prelude for getting something. Paul George working out in L.A., seeing stories getting dropped all the time, wants to be a Laker. Kawhi Leonard yesterday told Greg Popovich, I don't want to be a Spur. I don't know. A lot of noise. Lakers are sending a lot of signals out there. And Cleveland is, according to a report, not willing to move Kevin Love. Really, you're going to be stuck on that one. So here's the two assets you have, Cleveland. A number 8 pick in the draft tonight and Kevin Love. And you're just going to sit there. Let me remind you, Cleveland, how the game works. That number 8 pick tonight is way more valuable before it gets drafted. It's a shiny new car. You go into the showroom, and it looks beautiful and luxurious, shiny, exciting. Put some rims on that baby. Whoo! That thing's going to be Steph Curry. Oh, my God, look at that number 8 pick there. But you do realize, like any car lot, the minute you drive it off the lot, it's Buddy Hield. It's a Datsun. So if the idea, Cleveland, is, no, this number 8 pick, it is the building block for us when LeBron leaves. You really think that? So instead of trading it and keeping LeBron, a player that you'll never be able to duplicate, you're going to keep that number 8 pick and build for the future. Okay, well, we went and did a little homework this morning. It's what we do on this show for 3 hours before the show starts. The last 18 number 8 picks. Let's put them on the screen for the kids. Forget great, forget super, forget really good. It's hard to find anybody who's, good. Stanley Johnson, Terrence Ross, Brandon Knight, 7 busts, Jordan Hill, Joe Alexander, Chris Wilcox. I swear to God, 80% are busts. There hasn't been an all-star taken with the 8th pick since 1993. What would I do? I would take Kevin Love, your best player, not named LeBron. I would take the number 8 pick, and I would make something happen. And I would create drama and hope and excitement and make LeBron rethink his offseason and his next season. But if you're telling me your big plan tonight is, we're gonna not move off Kevin Love. We're not going to move off that number 8 pick. All that number 8 pick is, before it's drafted, it's a shiny new car in the showroom. Whoo! Man, I would look good in that car. It's hope. It's dreams. But you do get, the minute you drive that sports car off the lot, it becomes a Datsun. It loses 28% of its value. It's Buddy Hield. Move the pick. Move Kevin Love. Make something happen. Be exciting. Because you're never, ever, 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 ever going to get another LeBron. And I'm not even sure you're going to get a marginal player at number 8. This is not a great draft. All right, let me shift gears to this. We've been the leader in the clubhouse on this. It is time once again for our favorite segment on the show for the last 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 days. Laker Watch.
Laker Watch 2018.
18.
All right, here is the latest. The Lakers have made a deal to pick up another second-round pick. What does it mean, second-round picks? It should be noted, don't count against the Caps. The Lakers now have the 25th, the 39th, the 47th pick. Moves like this right before the draft usually mean there is a prelude to something happening on draft night. Now, why did they make this deal? Okay, they made this deal because they eventually want to get rid of the Luol Deng contract, or they want to lubricate the Paul George, Kawhi Leonard deals, and they can do that with assets, and they can do that by trading, and it's going to be very, very difficult, but they're making all sorts of these moves. Either tonight, they move the Luol Deng contract, they make a huge offer to the Spurs. What they're trying to do is accumulate picks. Second-round picks are an asset in the league because they don't count against the cap, and the Lakers are trying to get as many little pieces as they can to show everybody in the league to make a move. We are serious about creating the next great dynasty. By the way, on the phone last night, the Paul George is staying to Oklahoma City rumors are all being pushed by Westbrook's agent. Don't buy into them. Those stories are all being funneled to the media by one guy, Russell Westbrook's agent. Paul George is still a lean for the Lakers. Okay, this story also came out on our Laker Watch. Kawhi Leonard, you got to give the kid credit for this. Greg Popovich, Spurs coach, flew to San Diego where Kawhi Leonard lives and asked him about his comments wanting to be a Laker. And according to Stephen A.Smith, Kawhi Leonard, a very quiet, nonverbal young man, told him, I don't want to be a Spur. I want out of here. Also, Lakers have warned their staff. Sources are saying the Lakers have warned their staff about tampering ahead of free agency. Okay. You know why you do that? When does a boss go around an office and say, shh, 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 don't tell anybody? When does a boss do that? When does a CEO do that? When does a principal at a high school do that? Shh, 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 keep it down. When something's brewing, when something's about to happen, when you've got news that you don't want to get in trouble leaking before it comes out. So that is our Laker Watch today. Kawhi Leonard confronts Greg Popovich, I'm not coming. They acquire a second-round pick. That's to cobble together enough assets to lubricate trades or get rid of Luol Deng's contract. And I've been told the Paul George staying stuff is all being generated by one guy. That is Westbrook's agent. Here's another thing. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, but the draft isn't full of great players. It never is. Even great drafts have maybe 6 guys that can really, really play. But watch tonight during the draft. I want you to watch all the little things. Remember, before LeBron went to Miami, there was a second-round deal, a second-round trade made. Miami took a second-round pick, got rid of a guy to open up cap space for LeBron, Wade, and Bosh to all sign. So keep your eye. The draft tonight, the really big stuff in the draft may not be the players chosen. It may be picks being moved, assets being moved. It may be a very small movement like Luol Deng has been shipped out of Los Angeles, and you'll say, what does that mean? That tonight is the genesis, is the engineering move to get Kawhi, get Paul George, get LeBron. If Luol Deng's name comes up tonight and you're in Los Angeles, crack a bottle of champagne because they got rid of the contract. That's going to sound like nothing. That's going to sound like the move years ago Miami made right before the draft. They got rid of a player, got a second-round pick. Nobody noticed. It was clearing out space for LeBron, Wade, and Bosh. And that is where we're at today. Now, we got a lot of things today. We got Baker Mayfield on the show. Rob Parker's on the show. Lee Jenkins on the show. Remember, Lee Jenkins broke the story. LeBron back home to Cleveland. So he will be joining us today. Also, coming up next, the draft has one player, and I got to be honest with you, I don't see it. I keep hearing the next. He is the most talked about player. I think there is major, major bust potential. Joy and I return. Baker Mayfield around the corner, too, coming up next. Welcome back. Good to have you in, Baker Mayfield, 10 minutes or so. By the way, here's a rumor. I got to give you the NBA draft this tonight. Here's the rumor. Trae Young, he's this quick, clever little guard for Oklahoma, scores a bunch of points. Really fun to watch. He had a secret workout with the Cavaliers, and it says here, LeBron's a big fan of Trae Young, and that's why they had a secret workout. Let me tell you something. LeBron is not interested, Cleveland, in who you're drafting unless you're drafting cap space. Okay. And by the way, it took Steph Curry 4 years to be Steph Curry. So everybody telling me this kid is Steph Curry wasn't Steph Curry until 4 years into his career. And here's the other thing. When I hear the next, man, I put the brakes on. The next Russell Wilson, the next Drew Brees, the next Steph Curry, the next LeBron. Guys, those are originals. Those are original pieces of art. There is no Magic before Magic, MJ before MJ. We weren't saying Michael Jordan was the next anything. He was an original. And LeBron's an original. And Russell Wilson's an original. And Drew Brees is an original. Whenever I hear next, I am a pump the brake guy. And every time I hear next Steph Curry, it reminds me that Steph Curry is a complete original. I said this yesterday. Steph Curry is... he is the Uber of transportation. He is the great disruptor. Is Uber the best company? I don't know, but it disrupted the taxi service. DUIs have plummeted. Parking garages are empty because of Uber. Okay, it changed everything. Steph Curry changed everything in the league. Centers are, how many times has Dwight Howard been traded since Steph Curry came in the league? Centers are irrelevant. Didn't used to be. They used to run the league. Now they're largely irrelevant. So, I don't think there's a next Tom Brady. I don't think there's going to be this guy that struggles to start in college, that gets drafted in the 6th round and gets to 8 Super Bowls. Call me nutty. I don't think we're going to have a next Tom Brady. He's an original. I think Michael Jordan's an original, and KD and Steph. And, let me just ask you this. If you like Trae Young... And, I think he can play in the NBA. I'm not saying that. He'll play in the NBA. He can shoot. He's quick. He's fast. The turnovers don't bother me because he has the ball constantly and he's got some turnovers. But let me ask you this. If you love Trae Young, let me just ask you this. What is more likely? Okay, what is more likely? Trae Young, the next Steph Curry. Trae Young's going to be a back-to-back MVP, a scoring champ, a unanimous MVP, win 3 titles in 4 years, 2-time All-NBA, have the number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 5 all-time records for threes in a season. Would that happen? Or he is a serviceable player for the Sacramento Kings who can't guard a houseplant? I'm going to go with the latter on that. Call me nutty. I don't want to hear next. There is no next Russell Wilson. There's never been a Russell Wilson. There's not going to be a next LeBron James. Ben Simmons is the next LeBron. No, he's not. God, no. I love Ben Simmons. Oh, God, no, he's not. He's going to be the next Magic. No. He's not getting 9 championships. Ben Simmons is not the next Magic Johnson. I love Ben Simmons. Love Ben Simmons. I got him top 10 player in the league. The next Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson broke into the league. There'd never been anything like him. So by that alone, Ben Simmons would be a duplicate of something we've seen. Was going to be LeBron. Really? Able to score 50 points, pretty much what he wants. Ben Simmons can't shoot much, not even free throws. Originals. I hear next, it reminds me of how unique the first is. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
Who's the next Draymond Green?
Now, see, there is a non-great player, so you can give me a prototype for him, and there could be a guy in this draft, although I will say this, I bet you there is not a second-round pick that ends up winning 3 titles in 4 years.
You always find a way, Colin.
So there's not a next Draymond Green.
Well, I would agree with that. The NBA draft is tonight, and Draymond Green has been giving advice to the front office on what to do with the 28th pick that the Warriors have. Draymond said he doesn't want 82-game players, but rather he wants 16-game players. So he wants playoff players.
Who am I to say I know more than Draymond Green about basketball? It probably is the other way around. So if you want somebody that opinion should hold some weight, he watches college. He comes to the workouts. So maybe he should make the pick.
Bob's being all humble. Yeah. I do think that there is an element of, Draymond is a crucial part of that team, so he may have a feel to what they need, and so you should take his advice, but I think Bob is kind of exaggerating that.
Yeah, no, Joy, I've always said, listen to what the players say, but go with your own intuition and your own data, but there are times, I'm a big believer in any situation, Joy, listen to everybody. And take little grains of information. Now, LeBron James loved Shabazz Napier. Okay, remember that? He was like,
yeah.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I love that guy. I'll listen to that, but if my scouts come back and go, yeah, he can't guard anybody, then I'm going to go with my scouts. But I do think occasionally when you sit and enjoy with these players, they'll drop a gem, and you're like, hey, I have a cousin who played him a couple years ago, and he was really soft, and he's kind of a mama's boy. You file that somewhere upstairs in your parking garage because players have relationships with some of these kids that GMs don't.
True. Unfortunately, I think any advice that LeBron gives you about who to draft, you kind of have to go with in that spot. So there's a new best-selling jersey in the NFL, Colin. Do you have any guesses who it might be? It's new.
The best-selling jersey in the NFL?
Jersey. It's new, though. It's a new player.
Is that our next guest?
It is not. It is not Swaggy B. It is Saquon Barkley.
Oh,
Dick's
New
Sporting
York.
Goods has said the best-selling jersey in the NFL this month, and for all of 2018 is Saquon Barkley.
Wow.
Does that surprise you?
Well, you know what? Saquon Barkley's a home run hitter. Who did we say that Saquon Barkley reminds us of? Reggie Bush. And when Reggie Bush came in this draft, Joy, you may remember this, he was the number one jersey seller. Saquon's a home run hitter. Plus, he's kind of a good-looking guy, kind of a cool guy, played at a huge Northeastern University, Penn State. It doesn't shock me. It surprises me, though.
Think Giants fans are getting a little ahead of themselves?
No, because I think he'll be a 1,000-yard rusher pretty soon. He's going to be a good player. I don't know if I'd have taken a running back in this draft second, but he's a good player.
It's a solid pick, I think.
Yeah.
And finally, Tom Brady will turn 41 this upcoming season, and he keeps dropping hints about how long he's going to play.
Yeah.
Dropped a little hint about it being 45. Other people think it's a little closer. So former Patriots defensive end Willie McGinnis weighed in, and he thinks that if Brady wins a Super Bowl this year, he'll call it a career. Here's what he said.
I think there will be a walk-off if he wins this year, a Super Bowl. I think it won't be 45 years old. I think he'll walk off and say, the game's been amazing to me, and now I'm going to figure something else out.
You mentioned this yesterday. Why are we trying to get rid of Tom Brady so badly?
If you can make a lot of money playing football and you're physically okay, you don't retire. Listen, what are you going to do? You going to go play backgammon?
You know what I think
what is better than being by the way, it's not like you're being a corner and you're getting... I get to be the quarterback of a football team. I get a lot of money, and I love playing. I have the best coach. What the hell would I retire to?
There's
fishing?
There's nothing else that's going to compare to that in your life. But I think what it is everyone is afraid of watching a bad version of Tom Brady. So we all want him to walk off into the sunset, at the top of his game. We want this poetic ending like the movies. That's what I think it is. Everyone is afraid to watch Tom Brady walk off a cliff. Don't you get that? That's the kind of the feeling?
Yeah, I think Tom Brady's smart, and when he sees himself falling off a cliff, he'll jettison, he'll move on. But this whole... By the way, Drew Brees is 39. Anybody watch Drew Brees last year? He was filthy. He was incredible. I want Drew Brees and Tom to play for 9 more years. There's a bunch of guys in this league that could leave tomorrow. I don't care. Brady, Brees, play forever. Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
One of the things we do on this show, whenever I'm critical of somebody, I always tell my staff, get a hold of their people, invite them on the show. And 95% of the time, athletes come on the show. We've got an instance like that today. And before I bring on my next guest, here is what I have said and what some of my Fox colleagues have said about Baker Mayfield. They like this kid, and I push back. Let's play the tape. I'm going to make a prediction what's going to happen to Baker Mayfield. I'm going to go on record. I didn't like Vince Young. I didn't like Tebow. I didn't like Johnny Manziel. I wouldn't draft those guys. I would draft Baker Mayfield if he was available in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round.
There's a lot about him I like.
What?
Oh, man, he's a competitor. He's got all that moxie. He's got that football ability, stuff you like. Matter of fact, we were watching him, Jimmy and I. Is he smart? Does he learn from his mistakes? You know, is he sorry that he did it? Do you think he'll do it again? University of Miami, don't you think we had some red flag guys?
You turn on the tape against Ohio State, which is an NFL defense. He excelled on the highest level against the best competition, in my opinion, and he did it his whole career.
Baker Mayfield's going to go number 1. All righty then. Your thoughts on that?
I just want to be a fly on the wall in the room that you're in when that happens.
I am Seacrest out on Baker Mayfield.
Too slow.
People,
too short.
People who told you off. At
Not big enough hands.
Who's the recent guy? Oh, Colin Cowherd.
Undraftable.
Mm-hmm.
You hear that?
Let's bring him on, Baker Mayfield. Look at this. He's got a support group.
Oh, I got something for you. Quoted by you, right? Undraftable.
That is great. Yeah. By the way, do I get one of those?
I think we left something in your dressing room.
Okay, let me start with this. Okay, first of all, we always invite people. T.O. was on the show last week, and I went right after him. He was great. Richie Incognito came on the show. Well, I was mean to him. He was great. LeVar Ball came on the show last week.
Really?
I was tough on LeVar. We always invite people. So when I said, get him on the show. So I obviously you hear some of the stuff because, the internet, everything. I hear everything. You hear everything. You did seem to kind of think it was funny. Did it make you, was there a moment that it inspired you, pissed you off? When you hear all the stuff, Baker, first thought, when you hear me just blah, blah, blah.
That you really don't know me at all. I think you hear the big headlines, which is, what people get paid to do, is write whatever to grab people's attention. Yeah. So there's no digging, there's no actual research to it. It was kind of funny to see some of the stuff, not just by you, but by a lot of people.
Right. So. Let's get to the stuff that I don't like before the stuff that I do like. Because I have said, you're not a bust. You can play. I said Tebow ain't going to work. Manziel ain't going to work. Jamarcus Russell ain't going to work. Called it my shots.
But I was worth a 3rd, 4th, 5th round?
No. I said those guys can't play in this league.
Oh, okay.
Okay, you can play in the league. I don't think you're Russell Wilson because I think he's maybe the greatest athlete outside of Michael Vick and Steve Young I've ever seen in the league, period. I think it's unfair to say that's like saying Trae Young's going to be Steph Curry. No, he's not. Steph Curry's the greatest shooter in the history of the game. It's unfair. But let's get to the stuff I don't like. Sidelines, grabbing stuff, whizzing footballs. Come on, you're going to be a franchise quarterback. What are you grabbing stuff that? Why? What's going through your mind when you do that during games?
Have you played football past high school?
I quarterbacked, and I sucked.
Past high school?
Well, no, not past high school.
Football is a violent, competitive game.
Yeah.
That's the way it was always meant to be played.
Yeah.
You're supposed to play it with an edge. You're actually trying to impose your will on the other person to win. Right. There's things that come with it. No, my mistakes are not things that need to be a franchise quarterback. But within football, there's a lot of trash talk, a lot of stuff that is not, been made aware to everybody.
Like what?
I mean, there's stuff that's said on the field that you can't repeat, no matter where you're at.
Phillip Rivers is a trash talker, yeah, big time.
But some of my stuff, there was mistakes, but I've definitely learned from it. I wasn't a franchise quarterback then. I'm hoping to be one in the future, and I can learn from my mistakes and do that.
Did teams confront you on this stuff?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Give me an example.
Not going to go into naming teams, but there were teams that said, what kind of guy are we getting? Are we getting another Johnny? Or are we getting a guy that's not going to learn from his mistakes? I mean, you think about it, they're investing a lot of money.
Time.
Yeah, exactly. And so I was expecting that, but to be able to actually sit down and talk to him, that's what I was waiting for. Instead of them just seeing headlines and assuming something, to actually be able to talk to them, that was the benefit of it.
The Big 12 has a history. There's a lot of points in that league. Oklahoma's got great players. Oklahoma almost always has the best players in the Big 12. I mean, that's just the reality of it. It's like Alabama, USC in the Pac-12. Now you go to Cleveland, and they don't have the best players in the league. You're going to be asked to carry.
I'll stop you right there. Have you seen our roster?
It hasn't proven anything. It's just a roster of guys.
Okay. Every roster is just a roster of guys at this point.
Well, but New England's guys have proven stuff. And Atlanta's guys have won games. And New Orleans guys have gotten to the playoffs.
Yeah, there's definitely guys on different teams that have done it. We have a quarterback in Tyrod Taylor that took the Bills to the playoffs for the first time in a long time.
I like him.
Good player. We have guys that are very talented. Jarvis Landry, Duke Johnson, Carlos Hyde. We have guys.
No, I know. I'm not doubting your talent, but the other teams I've seen Cam win an MVP. So he's shown. I've seen Steph hit shots. Trae Young's talented. There are two different layers here. I believe you're going to be asked at some point to elevate those around you. Where at Oklahoma, you were great, but good God, Oklahoma's Oklahoma. I mean, it's a blue blood franchise. Do you think you are a guy that can put a franchise, coaches, owner, team, city, LeBron-like, and carry a team?
That's what I want to do. That's what I tried to do at Oklahoma. I truly believe I did. Yeah, we had talent. I had great support around me, but at the same time, I set the standard and the tone. And that's what I want to do in Cleveland as well, whether that's being the best backup possible or starting. I want to be a guy that improves our team and makes everybody else better.
I support Hugh Jackson. He went 0-16. I said on the air, I'd give him another year. Absolutely. I like him. I think he's smart. I think he works. And I think it's a great advantage for you to have an offensive coach. Look what it's done to Jared Goff. Look what it's done to Jimmy Garoppolo. I like young quarterbacks, Jameis Winston, Dirk Cutter, having offensive guys. I'm a fan of Hugh. But Hugh's got to win 6-7 games or he's not getting another head coaching job. Is it possible he's going to have a slight bias to the guy who this minute can win him more football games? The veteran quarterback.
I think human nature, yeah, but that's also what I was told throughout every meeting. They're going to go with somebody that they trust in. They brought him in for that reason. They're not in any rush to play me. They want me to learn, and not instead of just throwing me out into the fire where they see a lot of young guys kind of fizzle out. They want me to be able to learn, and then when my opportunity comes, be as ready as I could be.
My gut feeling is you're going to succeed overwhelmingly based on neck up. All these combine things, it's all about neck down.
The marginal size stuff?
Well, I mean, you're 6'1". I mean, I'm 6'1.5", $194. Now, you're a bigger, thicker kid than me, but we're about the same size. Historically, the numbers say 6'3" and up are your Hall of Famers. Is that an unfair?
No, that's fair.
I told you. By the way.
But today's game is different than Hall of Famers.
How?
It's faster. It's not nearly as physical. You see more teams reverting to some of the screen game. You watch the Eagles and you watch the Chiefs. You watch the Rams play. There's a lot of everyone you would call it, RPOs.
Right.
You have options on your run plays to throw the ball. You're trying to make a defense wrong by numbers. It's not just your typical called play, smash mouth football. It's just different. So you don't need a guy that's 6'5" to sit behind in the pocket and sit there every down and throw. You need somebody that's going to be able to manage the team, make those guys around him better. It doesn't matter the size. When it comes to that, all of that's out the window. And just be able to get a W.
When you're doing a documentary, 4-part series here on Fox, we have a great documentary team. So you chose the right team, or they chose you, or something, because they make great. They're all great.
They're good.
They're really, really good. Gabe, props to you. Tip of the cap. Nobody knows who I'm talking about. But I could say, Baker, what the hell are you doing? Well, you're doing a documentary. Mark Sanchez did a GQ spread, and everybody's like, dude, win a few games. Come on. Why do a documentary?
There was a lot of questions about who I am leading up to the draft, in case you didn't know that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people were very critical of you. I didn't like it myself, but nonetheless, go ahead.
So I wanted to do something. Everybody nowadays kind of does their own leading up to the draft, whether it's not nearly as invasive as, of privacy as something what I did.
Yeah.
But the team that I had made it easy. I wanted to do a behind-the-scenes look about the draft process, let people know exactly who I am, what I'm all about, and just to be myself on it. And I think that if you watch it, you can tell who I am, the people that I surround myself with, and just the work ethic, the mentality, and just the values I hold myself to as well. There was a lot of questions of, he's got character problems, stuff like that. I would hope that you can watch that and get a good judgment based on who I actually am.
Yeah, I've never thought you were Johnny Manziel. You throw a much better football than Johnny Manziel, and he's got issues you don't. I've never thought that. By the way, there's a lot of misinformation about this stuff. I don't think you're a bust. I just don't think you're Russell Wilson, because I think it's completely unfair. And I think NFL guys do this all the time, GMs. Oh, he's the next John Elway. Now, I watched John Elway play live. He may be the best player I've ever seen play NFL football. I do think you're going to last in this league, but I don't think you're going to play a ton your rookie year. How does that land with you?
Human nature and who I am says that I want to play right away. I've always been that way. I've always been the most competitive guy. And, yeah, I want to play. But at the same time, everything that I've talked to with the Browns, everybody that I've talked to, it's about being ready for my opportunity, not rushing into it. This is about long-term point of view, not just short-term wanting to play right now. So I've always said the best thing to happen to me at Oklahoma was having to sit out that 2014 season, getting to do scout team, getting to learn, work on my body, and also then the mental side of things with football. And so I need to handle it the same way, except just take it up another notch.
A local Browns reporter wrote, his words or her words, not mine. He was not ready to compete for the starting job. Do you agree with that?
They were also there the first day OTAs. Yeah, absolutely ready. My first day, I'm not going to be ready to compete with a guy that's a veteran that has taken a team to the playoffs right away. I was still learning the playbook, and I still am now, trying to get as comfortable as Tyrod is with it. And so right now my mentality is level the playing field on the mental side of things up to training camp, and then from there, getting more experience is always going to help.
By the way, Cleveland, and this is not a cheap shot, there's been a lot of dysfunction. They've drafted a lot of dudes, had a lot of GMs, and a lot of coaches. You came from a Gold Star program that has been nothing but brilliance. Bob Stoops, same president, same coach. It is a Gold Star restaurant. It is a 5-star, 4 seasons. Now you move into a realistically dysfunctional organization.
No.
Are you concerned at all about that?
I have no concerns about it being dysfunctional because it's not. I've watched the way Elliott Wolf and John Dorsey interact with everybody, our coaches, and then the Haslam family. It's not dysfunctional at all. And until you step foot in that building, you can have whatever opinion you want. We know what we have in there, and that's all that matters. We're going to stay true to that, and we're going to go to work.
Do you think it's possible you've made yourself, though, a little bit of a target? Because you are cocky, you are fun, you are lively. Like Cam, you're a very emotional player at often a very stoic position. Andrew Luck hasn't had an interesting quote since he walked into the league. Russell Wilson's a yawn. Tom Brady never says anything. You and Cam, you light a room up. You talk. You emote. How possible is it you'll become a huge target? Johnny Manziel walked into this league, and guys were going after him. Are you concerned about that?
No. I carry myself with the confidence that a lot of the other guys in the NFL do. It's not about how you get there. Actually, it's not about the fact that they're there. It's about how you get there. That's why people have the chips on their shoulders. That's why all those guys do. It's just I'm more vocal about it, but that's just how I've always been. I'm confident in who I am and what I've done to get here. A lot of those guys are, though, as well. But the person I am in the locker room, I don't even have to defend myself there. It's just I'm going to be a guy that's going to put them in front of myself always. I've always been a team-oriented guy. So.
All right, so stay here. Don't go anywhere. You're not going anywhere, right?
No.
Where do you go? So. Yeah, I mean, where are you going to go? I mean, it's just L.A. There's nothing here anyway. All right, I got 2 pieces of video I want to show you. I'm not in love with either. You can defend yourself, say what you want. We're back in a second. Baker Mayfield, who, by the way, if you can focus in on that shirt, is fantastic. I will say this. Get that graphic out so we can see that for our audience. Yeah, you won the interview with that. You drop the mic right there. All right, back in a second with Baker the Herd. By the way, it's called All the Way Up, Baker Mayfield, 4 episodes chronicling his rise from college football walk-on 2 times to the number 1 pick in the draft. Premieres on Fox Sunday, July 29th. He's been nice enough to stop by. He's not ducking anything, and he made a sweatshirt mocking me, so I like that. All right, got 2 pieces of video. First one's a football video, and I saw this, and I'm like, oh, Baker. You're playing Ohio State. I watched every snap. You were, gloriously talented guy, right? And then I see this play right here. Now watch this, Baker. And you throw a touchdown, and instead of – now, I don't like this. I'm going to tell you right now. How come you're not – what? Where are you going? Where are you going over there?
Our band is over there. Our student section's right there. And then straight back to our sideline.
What about your teammates?
Did you watch the rest of the game?
I watched the whole game.
You did? So you saw me celebrate with my teammates like the 3 touchdowns before that too?
I don't like that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You pulled the one clip of me running right there to our fans and people that traveled well to that game, first of all. And then you didn't show the rest of the clip of me going to our sideline?
No. You have to go to the sideline. You're not going to go to a hospital. Well, where are you going to go after the touchdown? You're not going to go.
Well, you're acting like I just ran away from everybody.
Well, you did, but then you came back and circled to the sideline.
This is a 5-second clip of yours showing me, and then I'm off the screen right there.
I'd like you to be with your teammates.
Watch the rest of the game. I was.
All right. Oh, I know you went back to the sideline.
No. Go watch the other touchdowns. I got very excited on that one.
So you think my accusation that this isn't
The fact
great?
that I feel like you're going for the fact that I'm not a team guy. I'm selfish. Is that what you're shooting at right here, or what?
It is no. I don't think that. I think sometimes your judgment's just a tad off, and I think the NFL's a judgment league because the game is so fast.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make the windows get really, really tight and really, really small. You got to make decisions really, really fast. In college, you got that Orlando Brown guy, got a little more time. I don't love that decision. I don't love it.
The celebration? Do you see what people do in the league now, celebration-wise?
Hip thrusting, not a fan. Not a big fan of hip thrusting. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't like when Antonio Brown's doing that stuff. I'm not into it. You know what? Do you have your celebration?
No, I have nothing.
You're just going to give the ball to
apparently, I think I need to just run away.
Okay. All right, we got to get to the other one the other guy showed it too. I don't think I'm being a jerk.
What is it?
I have a general rule. Don't like my quarterback showing up on police video. Don't love this.
That's what you said I was undraftable for, so let's watch it.
That's why I don't like this. This doesn't do it for me. So what are you doing?
I was not in trouble. Then the state of mind that I was in, which shouldn't have happened, they started asking me questions. I watched somebody get just absolutely socked right in the face. Okay. And so I was answering questions about
So you were in an area where something bad happened?
Yeah. Was never directly in trouble, but then when they were asking me questions, for some reason, I thought I was in trouble and decided to try. I wouldn't say it's a runaway because that's not real good speed right there. But
when you look at that now, are you embarrassed? Are you mad?
Absolutely. There is so much regret about that because if I didn't run, there would have been
Nobody
nothing
cares.
ever. No, ever. You wouldn't have said that I was undraftable, and then nobody would probably have been questioning me about being the next dropout of football. So, I don't know, there's a lot of regret to it, but at the same time, that was a rude awakening to responsibility and accountability for me, that a lesson that was harshly learned. Yeah, I could have learned it over time, but that was just very eye-opening for me.
By the way, that's the best answer you've given me in 10 minutes, by far. Embarrassed, learned a lot. That's what I want to hear. I'm a general manager. That's the best 30 seconds in your interview right there. That's what grown-ups say.
Hey, I appreciate
that. Makes me like you more. That's like, okay, if you come out.
Now we're moving somewhere.
You and I are not moving anywhere.
Oh,
You're going to go be a starting quarterback, and I'm going to be a radio idiot. Okay, we've got our own lives. Okay, so now let's do good stuff. Let's move into the good stuff I like. You're accurate. You throw a really good football. You have no chance to bust as long as you get a little protection. Give me a little backstory on this. I am surprised you had to walk on. You throw an incredibly accurate football, and it's why you're going to win a lot of games in this league. I don't think you're Drew Brees. I think that's unfair and ridiculous. Have you always been, were you a baseball player? Why are you so accurate? Because it is your strength, and it's real.
I was a baseball player, but I wasn't a pitcher. I'm definitely way more accurate with the football than I am a baseball.
Okay.
I had to learn how to be accurate with it because of how big I was growing up. I wasn't the biggest guy, but what got me by was the mental aspect of the game, and then also just putting the ball in the right spot. There's a saying that you can't defend a perfect ball. I don't care who you are. You can't defend a perfect ball.
Okay, here's the second thing I like about your game, is that a lot of the truth of pro football, I mean, it's violent. And it's like college football players are good. NFL players are superhuman.
Everybody's good.
I just watched The Incredibles with my son yesterday. It's like superhero stuff, right? You always keep your eyes down the field. And by the way, a lot of guys don't. They can hear footsteps. You are all dialed in here. Tell me, you've never been the biggest quarterback, the biggest guy. How are you able to stay totally focused on the action when you have guys who bench press Oklahoma breathing and bearing down on you? Because this is one of your. I talked to a Jim about this. I said the one thing I love about him, he's accurate, and that kid did not hear footsteps. Where's that come from?
I don't know. I think I just kind of trained myself to always find the best option. And sometimes when you have a lot of chaos in the pocket, there's somebody screaming open down the field. And so just knowing that I can take a hit if it's worth it to get the ball out of my hands and in somebody else's, I'd take that chance. But nowadays it's a little bit faster, and so the time clock in my head needs to speed up.
By the way, you can sense it's faster even at camp.
Oh, absolutely. You can sense the fact that I need to be able to go through 1, 2, maybe 3, and then it's either throw the ball away or if there's a lane to step up and run, actually tuck it and run, you need to do that and then get down and protect yourself.
10 seconds. Were you a good student at Oklahoma?
Football was my favorite.
Yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
By the way, I was a C+ guy. Yeah. I knew what I wanted to be.
My parents would not be very happy about that one, but I did graduate.
All right. I mean, look at this thing here. You got a big support group. I'm out here by myself. I got all these people that hate me off to the side. I think you did.
They heard what you were saying, and they thought they needed to come support me.
Okay.
I appreciate it, guys.
I thought you did a nice job. I appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
I totally appreciate you coming. You answered every question, and I really like what you said about the police video. I thought you sounded like a real grown up. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I mean that. Good luck to you, Baker.
Appreciate that.
Hour 2 next. The Herd. This is The Herd, wherever you may be and however you may be listening. Live in Los Angeles, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1, Joy Taylor in tow today. Baker Mayfield stopped by the show, showed him the stuff I hated about him, didn't like the crotch stuff, didn't like the cop stuff, didn't like the run into the band stuff. He answered all the questions. I thought he did a good job.
He was great. He was very understanding of your critiques, I thought.
Yeah, it was good. Anything we had a problem with him, anytime I rip somebody, I tell my staff, bring him on the show. And we go, by the way, had LeVar Ball on the show again, had T.O. on the show again, had Richie Incognito on the show, had Baker Mayfield on the show. I have invited Johnny Manziel on the show, and I would take Russell Westbrook for an hour on the show. A lot of them say no, by the way. Baker Mayfield did not say no. Westbrook won't come on the show. I'd bring Aaron Rodgers on the show. He doesn't want to come on the show. Okay, I get 55.
Are you critical of Aaron Rodgers?
I don't think so, but he's got rabbit ears, so he told people he doesn't like me. I got 55 million views a month on Facebook. Nobody in this industry is close. You come on my show, you will get more publicity than any show in this space in the country. A lot of guys don't want to show up. A lot of guys pretend they don't like me. He's no good. Stop. We know I am. All right? That's not the problem. But by the way, Baker Mayfield didn't duck anybody. T.O. didn't duck anybody. LeVar Ball didn't duck anybody. Richie Incognito didn't duck anybody. And I always say that. If I rip you, I'm inviting you on. There's the couch. Let's go at it. All right, let me say this. So draft is tonight. And, you know, a lot of these teams out here, they're assembling, they're selling, they're trading draft picks. And I don't think it's a great draft, but we have a current dynasty in the NBA. And we know what the dynasty is. It's a really good dynasty. It's the Warriors. And Adam Silver was on another radio show, and he said, can we stop saying they cheated the system? This is unfair. He said Golden State was sort of an aberration in our league. Here's the commissioner, Adam Silver.
In the case of the West, I get it in terms of Kevin Durant going there. It was a bit of an aberration in our system. We had a spike in our cap. It enabled them to have additional cap room. The Warriors will tell you they would have figured out a way to get it done anyway. I don't know. But even if Kevin Durant hadn't gone to Golden State, and let's just say he'd stayed at Oklahoma City, or let's say he'd gone to another team maybe in the East, you clearly would have had a third team that would have been much better. Any team that has Kevin Durant will be. But then you still have 27 other teams. And so, you got to give Golden State their due.
Absolutely. Steph Curry wasn't the number 1 pick. Draymond Green was a second-round pick. Klay Thompson wasn't a top 5 pick. They won a title without Kevin Durant. By the way, here are the last 4 dynasties in the NBA. Here's the guys who assembled them. Pat Riley, Popovich, Danny Ainge, and Bob Meyer and Steve Kerr. What do they have in common? They're smart. Oklahoma City had Harden, Kevin Durant, and Westbrook. They fell in love with the wrong guy, Westbrook. They could have been a dynasty. They got to the finals. Those guys were all babies. They got to the finals. If they would have stopped coddling Westbrook, pay a little more attention to Harden and Durant, then the 3 could have played together. Or maybe you keep Kevin Durant and Harden, let Westbrook go. The only reason OKC is not Golden State, because they weren't very smart. The last 4 dynasties, Pat Riley, Popovich, Danny Ainge, Bob Myers. Celtics weren't a dynasty, but they were damn good for 4 years. By the way, they're all smart guys. It's like I use a lot of Uber. You ever do Uber, Joy? I do Uber a lot.
Oh, all the time.
Okay, I do Uber a lot. Let's say the last 100 times I've been in Uber, 90% of the people, 95% of the drivers, forgettable, fine, don't remember them. But about 5 of the last 100 have been exceptional. The music's not too loud. The car smells nice. It's clean. They've got water for me, a little peppermint. The last great driver I had at Uber was a woman. She engaged in conversation. It's like, and I asked her, how much you do? How do you make? Oh, she does really well.
You're a big conversator with the strangers.
Absolutely. I talk to strangers.
You like to do it on the airplanes.
Yeah. Everywhere.
I am the complete opposite.
Okay. Well, you're
stranger danger.
Oh, that's not bad. I tell my kids that. I am stranger Lone Ranger. I'm talking to them. And so my point is on Uber. Even in Uber, just kind of a little transportation company, right? People separate. The smarter people do better. They drive the better shifts. They keep the car cleaner. They have the music at an appropriate level. They engage in conversation. They've got water in the car. If you're driving Uber and struggling, that's on you. If you don't have a dynasty, that's on you. I support smarter. By the way, the Lakers, everybody's freaking out. Oh my God, Lakers going to have a super team. Since Magic Johnson's taken over this team, they've done 4 really smart things. First of all, they went 3 for 3 in the draft. Kyle Kuzma? They got rid of the Timofey Mozgov contract. Nobody in the league thought they could get rid of that thing. They not only got rid of it, they got rid of the immature head case, D'Angelo Russell. They went 3 for 3 in the draft. They were able to acquire contracts like Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye. They could one and done get them out of here. All they've done is A stuff. Jordan Clarkson had a bad contract. Suckers in Cleveland took it on. All the Lakers have done before they're about to build this dynasty is brilliant for the last year. How the hell did they get rid of that Mozgov contract? It was awful. They got rid of it. D'Angelo Russell, head case, immature, got rid of him. Somebody took Nick Young. Somebody took Jordan Clarkson. They found Kyle Kuzma, 3 for 3 in the draft. Josh Hart can play. The Lakers have a chance because they're the only team right now in the league that has space for 2 Supermax contracts. Only team in the league is the Lakers. This isn't about their market size. It's not about their brand. They've been brilliant. They have been brilliant. Just like Golden State was brilliant. Popovich building the dynasty. When Popovich was building the dynasty, they were finding Tony Parker and Manu overseas, and they're like MVP level players, especially Parker. Everybody else could have had him in the first round. So give the Warriors credit. And if the Lakers build this super team, it's because they've set themselves up over the last 12 months. They've done some really, really smart things. Let me shift gears to this. NBA draft is tonight. I do not think it's a great draft. The number 1 player, according to a lot of people, is DeAndre Ayton. He plays at Arizona. Many people believe he'll be number 1. There's 2 players in this draft I like. He's one of them. The guy I really like is Marvin Bagley at Duke. He's polished. He's coachable. He's long. He's clever. He's offensively skilled. The best player in the draft to me is easy. Marvin Bagley, Duke is the guy I would take. And then I do think DeAndre Ayton at Arizona will be a nice NBA player. But let me give you 5, and these were considered, and even today, home run centers drafted recently. Boogie Cousins, Anthony Davis, Andre Drummond, DeAndre Jordan, Karl Anthony Towns. 33 NBA seasons combined they've played. 4 playoff appearances. And by the way, DeAndre's got 3, all engineered by a little guy, Chris Paul. And those are 5 home runs. Those are home run big guys. Andre Drummond, not going to do better. Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Davis, Boogie Cousins, DeAndre Jordan. All those GMs who drafted them should be very proud. Those are great players. 33 years combined in the league. 4 playoff series wins. I can't get excited about tonight's draft. I got one guy you keep telling me, Steph Curry, not, and a bunch of centers. And this is why I've barely talked about this draft. Jason Whitlock, speak for yourself, yesterday, I thought brought up a very reasonable point.
6'7" team for Dwight Howard, the premier big man. 6 team for Dwight Howard, the premier big man since Shaq. And I'm thinking the NBA draft, they're talking about 3 relatively big players going at the top of the draft. And I'm like, what are they doing? I just don't get it. I'm buyer beware on the big man.
Yeah, I haven't talked a ton about this draft. I don't think there are a lot of difference makers. I think there's 2 really, 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 really good players. I'll take Marvin Bagley at Duke if I had the number 1 pick. But let me tell you something. A lot of these GMs make a lot of mistakes. They make a lot of mistakes. Okay, last year, they had an NBA general manager survey. It was anonymous, and they asked him, who would you start your franchise with? These were the answers. 11% said Kevin Durant. Are you drunk? 30% said Karl Anthony Towns. Like, a lot of these GMs in the NBA, they make a bunch of mistakes. Oklahoma City could have a dynasty. But even as the league was transitioning to a shooters league in Oklahoma City, Harden elite shooter, Durant elite shooter, they coddled Westbrook, can't shoot. Okay, I don't want to hear about whining about Golden State's dynasty. Pat Riley, Popovich, smart guys in San Francisco, and Danny Ainge. Those are the last 4 super teams. And by the way, Daryl Morey, MIT grad in Houston, is close to a super team because they had the Warriors down 3-2 until Chris Paul got hurt. It's just like Uber drivers. If you're not making any money doing Uber, look in the mirror. Because I've been in those cars 100 times. 4 or 5 times, I'm like, oh, yeah. I engage in conversation. You're like, yeah, of course she does really well. Car smells nice. Car's clean. Got a water. Music's not too loud. She engages in conversation. He engages in conversation. You're like, oh, yeah, that's why this Uber driver's doing well.
Love a good conversation, Colin.
Smart wins. It's up to all of us to be smart. Smart wins. Got Rob Parker's around the corner. He's freaking out. Hey, big moment yesterday in near Los Angeles with Kawhi Leonard. We'll talk about that next.
Tomorrow, Big 3 basketball returns live to FS1. A new wave of superstars joins some of the game's greatest legends in a new season of the Big 3. It all starts tomorrow at 7:30 Eastern live on FS1 or stream it all on the Fox Sports app.
Meta World Peace now going to be playing. Amari Stoudemire is going to be playing. Baron Davis going to be playing. Carlos Boozer is going to be playing. So it's all good stuff. Back up tomorrow. This year, all the games are live. FS1. Say goodbye to Takeout Hello to HelloFresh. Healthy ingredients, easy to follow recipes, shipped to your door, limited time. $30 off your first box. HelloFresh.com. Free shipping. HelloFresh.com/Colin. Okay, so this is an incredible story. Kawhi Leonard, last Friday, through his uncle, released to members of the media, I want out. I'm not interested. I don't want to play in San Antonio. And Greg Popovich said, all right, I'm going to go to San Diego and talk to this kid. And they did, and it was yesterday. And Kawhi Leonard told him, I'm not interested. Kawhi Leonard doesn't talk much. Apparently, he talks forcefully. According to Stephen A.Smith, he told Popovich, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be in San Antonio. I don't want to be there any longer. Good for him. This was not, hey, we need to talk. This was Popovich getting dumped. And we called it. We're not reacting to this story. We called this story. We told you. Popovich is a very 80s, 70s, 90s coach. Military background. My way or the highway. Can be rigid. Can be manipulative. Didn't play with LaMarcus Aldridge. He almost left. And did not play with Kawhi Leonard. Here's why I'm critical of Greg Popovich. Because I understand players wanting to leave. But Greg Popovich was quoted years ago. When asked about the kind of players he drafts, he said, we're looking for people, and I've said it many times, who have gotten over themselves. Popovich should take his own advice. Get over yourself. You don't draft Tim Duncan, you're a guy. You're a guy. You're Rick Carlisle. Fired, hired, smart, not winning a bunch of titles. You're a good coach, but you're not a legend. Tim Duncan made you a legend. And you've always had this theory, we only draft guys who get over themselves. I don't care about your politics. Get over yourself. You were a bully, and bullies get theirs. And you tried to manipulate the situation. You sent Tony Parker out to criticize Kawhi. You sent Manu Ginobili out to criticize him. And we're not reacting. We called it at the time. We said, this is not going to work. This kid's different. You're going to pay a price for it. And Popovich, who preaches get over yourself, didn't get over himself. And he totally, 100% blew it. NBA media is pretty soft and cozy. Been babying Popovich for years. Be interesting to see if anybody has the guts to bring the hammer. And he's always welcome on our couch, too. Popovich blew it. Blew it. Steven Jackson came on our show when he sent Tony Parker and Manu out to rip Kawhi. Steven Jackson likes Pop, played for the Spurs. But remember what he said.
I wouldn't be surprised if this makes Kawhi want to leave. Because when your teammates going against you in the media like that, not having your back, you know that's coming from up top. Why would you want to be there?
Got to give Kawhi a lot of credit. Didn't back down. Did not back down at all. Good stuff today. Lee Jenkins will be joining us 1 hour from now. And Rob Parker right around the corner. Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
All right, Colin, according to a report, Jameis Winston is bracing for a suspension coming from the NFL for the Uber incident in March of 2016, where he allegedly groped an Uber driver in Arizona. He's no stranger to controversy. He's been dealing with issues dating back to his days at Florida State.
Judgment. By the way, it's the one thing I said about Baker. I don't always love your judgment. Jameis Winston, college, pro football, I don't love his judgment.
Yeah, according to the report, the Winston camp is expecting a maximum of 3 games, and of course, they're going to appeal. He's had, as you mentioned, a long record of incidents. Do you think that the Bucs should move on from Jameis Winston?
I say he reminds me of Eli Manning. There are games and stretches I'm totally into him, but as a regular season quarterback, he is not consistent. Game to game, half to half, quarter to quarter. Eli Manning is not. Now the difference is Eli Manning had Tom Coughlin and Eli, but Eli and Jameis, they remind me of the same guy. One's obviously a little more athletic, and one I think has way better personal judgment. But I think Jameis is going to be as good as his offensive line. It hasn't been very good since he came into this franchise. So not all the criticism of Jameis is on Jameis. But I will say, this is the NFL. Baker Mayfield just told us the NFL is really fast. It's really fast, meaning you have to make quicker judgments. Jameis's judgments, he's got bad self-awareness. He's really is maybe the worst for any quarterback in the league right now in self-awareness, understanding the room, the temperature. Jameis could be worst in the league at that.
It just feels like there's always something with Jameis. And also another inconsistency is the NFL personal conduct policy. What is 3 games? It's just such an arbitrary number. I thought it was 4 games for something like this. Now it's 3 games. They'll probably appeal it down to 1 game. Who knows? Anyway, Jimmy Garoppolo is preparing for his first full season with the San Francisco 49ers. He was impressive in his 5 games with the Niners last season, winning all 3. Well, we know Richard Sherman has joined Jimmy G in San Francisco, and apparently he's found a small tell in Jimmy G's throwing motion. Here's what he said.
It definitely is pretty quick. It's not A-Rod quick, but it's definitely quicker than most quarterbacks. And it can't really affect how you play, but you just need to read him handoff ball. You know, he's letting it go, and you have to be decisive when you make those decisions. If he takes his hand off the ball and doesn't throw it, I think he'll throw guys off. But when he takes his hand off the ball, you got to be ready to break.
Oh, why are you giving it away?
Yeah, basically he's got in poker what they call a tell.
Right.
So he's got a little habit he has got to correct. By the way, this is why Richard Sherman's a really successful player. Richard Sherman's watching. This is what Tom Brady talks about. Film. Richard Sherman has noticed a tell with Jimmy Garoppolo. So now, by the way, a good teammate takes that public and says, okay, dude,
So you like that he made it
doesn't bother me. I mean, in the end, you got to get it fixed. Jimmy Garoppolo's got to get his tell fixed.
I don't know. I mean, like, obviously it's amazing that Richard Sherman noticed that, and he is a very cerebral player, so it doesn't surprise me that he did. But I feel like you just pull him aside, like, hey, we got to work on this, you know?
Yeah, you're probably right.
You're going to make it public. Everyone's going to be like, I mean, obviously there's other smart players out there who are watching film who may have noticed it, but now it's like, oh, yeah, I see it now. So, well, at least he'll work on it. And finally, Argentina plays Croatia today at 11 a.m. Eastern on Fox. Lionel Messi had a tough game in Argentina's opener versus Iceland, missing a penalty kick that would have won the match. And according to Messi's mother, she said Messi wants to win the World Cup so badly he suffers and breaks down crying. There's a lot of criticism in the soccer world that Messi doesn't care about his national team, which his mom says is completely unfair. But we're pretty oblivious to the pressures that we put on these guys, and World Cup is obviously a whole nother level.
By the way, we've always said when Michael Jordan, he was a good clutch player, and LeBron wasn't a great clutch player. The knock on Messi is he hasn't been a great clutch clutch player. He's just a great player. Ronaldo has been more of a clutch player. And Ronaldo's had a great World Cup so far. Messi's got to prove himself today in a half hour.
Do you think that we are a little too hard on them, or this is just part of the game?
Listen, NBA and international soccer are all about the star. And in football, you can have the best player in the league. Walter Payton was the best player in the league in the NFL for years. Couldn't get to the playoffs. If you have the best basketball player and the best soccer player, you are going to be a viable championship contender. LeBron just took a bunch of yard sale items to the finals. So I think the pressure is understandable because this is why those two positions in sports get paid the big money.
Well, it's the biggest stage. I always say, if you're going to receive the biggest praise, you're going to receive the biggest criticism. That's part of being a superstar. But don't mess with mama. When mama gets involved, you got to be a little careful.
Joy Taylor with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line
Let's
News.
bring in the FS1 instigator. He is all worked up today. Will not be denied. USC.
Is that Joy Taylor over there?
She's a new member of the show.
I know. Hi, Joy.
Hi, Rob.
Even has insurance. We put her on the insurance plan.
Everything.
She gets swag and stuff. She's a member of the team.
I do.
now.
I got a Herd coffee cup.
Yeah.
So I'm official now.
What a great team. I'm happy for both of you.
Thank you. By the way, the NBA offseason, my God, it's unbelievable. It's better than the regular season. You got a problem with that?
I do. It's not the offseason is now where we are in the NBA. It's more dramatic and has more twists and turns than the actual basketball. People are more caught up. Where's LeBron going? What's going to happen? What about the trades? It's like the soap opera or the WW. What is it? WWE?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where we are now. Let's rename the NBA to the NBA WWE because that's where we are. It's like scripts.
But by the way, you're a Baseball Hall of Fame voter. We used to have the Hot Stove League.
No, I get that, but this is ridiculous only because, Colin, the basketball's not good. The regular season, this is almost unwatchable.
It is not.
We just had a final that was a 4-game sweep. Last year was a 5-game sweep. It's awful.
First of all, the Western and Eastern Conference Finals were the highest rated in 15 years. The Celtics versus LeBron was great. The Rockets against the Warriors was amazing.
Game 4, Colin, was the worst-rated clinching game of an NBA Finals since 2009. It was awful. And the numbers this past year were slightly down. All I'm saying is enough with the same two teams that only have a chance to win. It's always Golden State and the team LeBron's on. We've seen that movie.
By the way, what about LeBron heading west? It does look like the Lakers last night made a couple of moves. Kawhi told Pop no thanks. It does feel like we got movement heading west, right? LeBron west?
I think it's a mistake. I think LeBron will regret it and rue the day that he moves west. I've always said he's allergic from competition. And when you look about going to the West, Colin, all these good teams and where you are, there's a good chance that LeBron's not even going to make it to the finals, could get knocked out in the first or second round, and it's not going to be the cakewalk he's been used to. And I think he's better off staying in the East with Philly and building that team with those younger guys, those younger stars. I like Simmons. I like Embiid. I like that. I'm just not so sure that coming out west is going to be the right elixir for him.
Let me ask you. Let's say it's LeBron, Kawhi, Kuzma, and a bunch of guys. Is that not a Western Conference Finals team?
No. I'm not convinced. Are they going to beat the Warriors? No. Until further notice, barring some major injury or you know what I mean? Something like that. I got the Warriors winning again next year. You don't have the Warriors winning again next year? What would be your reason to think that they wouldn't win?
By the way, you guys like you always rip LeBron, doesn't want to compete, but isn't going for the greatest of all time mantle, isn't that competition? And LeBron knows if he goes west, all he has to win is one ring. And he will win a ring with 3 different teams.
No, but that's not the part where I'm saying he doesn't, is that he always has to be stacked in his favor. That's the difference.
Is that weak or is that smart?
No, that's weak. It's weak, Colin. I get it. Smart, yes. If you want to go, why don't you just go play for the Warriors? If it's just about winning a championship, go play for the Warriors. Take no money, join that team, and what would that do? What would that solve? You would feel good if he went there and won 3 more rings?
But
Nobody would say that.
No, I mean, my feeling
So what's the difference? You're saying smart. How is that not smart? Go to the Warriors.
Well, first of all, we don't know, and I'm a big believer in this. I don't think the Warriors want him.
But why not?
Because
he should say, I'll play for free.
But by the way, they don't want him because they don't. By the way, the Warriors are a bad example. They don't want him. They're not recruiting him. They're not interested. They've got their guys under contract. Warriors don't want LeBron. By the way, if I ran Golden State, I don't want LeBron.
Even the Warriors don't get their due. They're a dynasty. They've won 2 in a row, 3 out of 4. People don't give them their respect because of what Kevin Durant did. That's what I'm talking about when I'm talking about competition.
So if LeBron goes to the Lakers, who won 35 games, and
he's not going to that Laker team, and you know it.
No, but I'm saying is if he wins a title there, you're not going to be impressed?
No, I'm not, because it's going to be a stacked Laker team that's not the young Laker team. Now, if LeBron went by himself, with Kuzma and Ball and Ingram. No, if he goes by himself and won a championship, I would tip my cap to him.
Time out. They've got room for 2 supermax
No, but I'm just telling you how I look at it.
So you'd rather him go with a stiff? You'd be prouder of him then?
Yes. Look, have him take Luol Deng, resurrect his career.
Oh, God. Luol Deng's awful.
Luol Deng, LeBron James, and the kids.
You're going to blame LeBron because the Lakers have smartly created 2 supermax opportunities.
I'm not blaming LeBron.
Do you think less of Chris Paul because he joined James Harden?
They didn't win a championship.
Well, I mean, Dan Marino didn't. He's still great.
He was a great player. I'm not saying that you can't be a great player. I'm talking about when I look at you, especially when we talk about the greatest of all time. I'm always going to nitpick. I'm just going to do it. And if I have this for you. If I'm San Antonio, I would not, under any circumstance, trade Kawhi Leonard to the Lakers. I would not help the Lakers for 1 ounce. I don't care. I'll never get equal value for Kawhi, so I don't care about that.
Let me ask you this. You and I are both divorced. When you got divorced, were you concerned about her or you? You took care of you. By the way, when I got divorced, I didn't sit up all night and go, I hope she's not happy. I thought to myself, want to protect my kids and I want to get happy. You can't sit if you're Greg Popovich and worry about the Lakers.
But what I wouldn't
you got to rebuild the Spurs.
But the difference is when we talk about competition, if I help the Lakers, I'm not helping them for this year. I'm going to help the Lakers for the next 10 years and block what I do. So this is a perfect example. What did Green Bay do when Brett Favre wanted to go to Minnesota? Did they trade him to Minnesota? Absolutely not. No matter what Minnesota offered them, what did they do, Colin? They traded him to the AFC, to the Jets. He wound up getting to Minnesota, but not from Green Bay. And it's the same way with San Antonio. I'm going to trade you to NBA Siberia. So you go to Sacramento or you go to Orlando and you go there.
But what if they don't give you the package?
You're never going to get an equal package. You're already at a loss.
But I want to get the best I can get.
Nope. And you know what it would be like? It would be like your woman's about to leave you and you're going to load up her stuff, put it in the moving van, drive her to the new guy's house, and then pay the security for their apartment for the first month. I wouldn't do it. I would not do it under any circumstance. Hello, is this on? Is this on? If you're the San Antonio Spurs, do not do this.
Okay, but first of all, Pop's 69 years old, 70 years old. He's not going to be coaching this league in 10 years, even Pop. The bottom line is, what if the Lakers give you 3 draft picks, Kyle Kuzma, and I'm going to take Sacramento's inferior offer? I got to get good. My whole point is, you can't worry in a divorce about other people's happiness. You got to take care of you.
I get it. So I'm asking you, why did Green Bay not trade Brett Favre to the Minnesota Vikings where he wanted to? Brett Favre was a great player for you. He won you a championship. Why not make Brett Favre happy? I'm not making Kawhi Leonard happy. He's about to walk. He wants to walk out on you. That's going to damage your organization. I'm not going to reward that guy. Good luck to him. Play in Sacramento.
So you're gonna take an inferior pack. Joey, what do you make of this?
I mean, in theory, it sounds nice, and believe me, Rob, you know that I'm a petty person. I want to maneuver the situation with you. The problem is, if you're the Spurs, you can't just, Kawhi is going to leave either way. So you can't leave yourself exposed. You have to try and get the best package for him, wherever that is, even if it's in the West.
So what Joy is basically saying is, you're already getting punched in the forehead losing Kawhi.
Right.
Don't get punched a second time and get crappy assets for it.
There's no scenario if Kawhi wants to leave that he doesn't leave when he can.
So at least
get what you can for him.
If your wife leaves you, she leaves me. I got to salvage something.
At least get the other guy's Ferraris.
Yeah,
all right,
something.
Here's my other scenario.
All right.
I hold on to him until the trade deadline. By that time, the Lakers are tapped out because they've already spent the money on LeBron and Paul George.
Okay.
So now he can't go there, and I'll take something at the trade deadline.
Yeah, now.
And I would do that to prevent him from going to the Lakers.
Okay, now that's different, though. That is what I would call business. You know you're going to lose him, so I'm going to manipulate the situation as best I can.
And maybe at that point, Philly's desperate, right? They say,
and they step up and give you a better package.
And give you a better package because now we're in the mix. We're seeing what's going on. And if we add Kawhi at the trade deadline, we got a chance to come out of the East and really compete for a championship. He becomes more valuable later on for those teams on the cusp.
Now, I feel, Joy, like that's different. That's a different argument.
It's different, but it's still risky. And if you are Popovich and the Spurs, they don't do risky moves. They do calculated, intelligent basketball, legendary franchise moves. I understand what you're saying, but this isn't how they've ever operated. They operate from a different
You live
wavelength.
in Los Angeles. Why do you hate Los Angeles? You moved here.
I love L.A. Can you cue the Randy Newman music? I love L.A. I do. You know I do.
But I wouldn't help L.A. Don't you want to...
I'm talking about it from a basketball standpoint. I used to love the NBA. I've been covering the NBA since 1987. What I'm watching now and these super teams has damaged the league. It's unwatchable during the regular season. We can't have just 2 or 3 really super teams. It's not good for a league. It just isn't. It's not that I hate the Lakers and I don't want to see them do well or whatever. I just don't think it's great. If I'm the commissioner, this isn't what the league is about. It shouldn't be about this. We just saw it. So you just want the Lakers and Golden State? Is that where we are?
Stay there. Rob Parker returns in just 1 second. It's the Herd. Get into Lowe's and restock your edible garden. 2.32-ounce Bonnie veggies and herbs. Now 3 for $12. Excludes Hawaii. See store for details, Lowe's. All right, Rob Parker's joining me, the Laker hater. It's totally unfortunate. Lee Jenkins in 1 hour on the show. Okay, so you are against super teams, right?
100%.
Just hate those. By the way, did you watch any of the Dream Team games, or did you not watch any of those?
I did not watch that. What competition was that? Are you...
Oh, by the way,
the United States to beat Angola by 79 points?
By the way, Joy, he hates super teams. You watch any of those 90s Yankees teams?
They weren't super teams.
Did you see that pitching staff?
Can I give you where those players came from? From the Yankees farm system.
Okay.
Posada,
right.
Jeter, Bernie Williams, Andy Pettitte, Mariano Rivera. Those were their own players.
Rob, you do know that the Warriors drafted Steph Curry, Draymond
I don't
Green,
have any
Klay
problem
Thompson.
with them. It's Durant joining them.
Oh,
I agree.
Boy, that's terrible.
It's
One
Durant
guy.
joining them.
Right.
You're right. They drafted correctly.
By the way,
and they got great players.
OKC had Harden and Durant, better shooters in the shooters league, and they put their arms around Westbrook. Is that?
Yeah, but they also went to a championship with that team
and couldn't win. You're all about winning titles. Couldn't win squat.
They didn't win, and then they also had the Warriors down 3-1, and Durant choked. He had a bad Game 7.
So here's my point. The way to beat a dynasty is create more dynasties. You and I disagree with this. The Lakers are about to create a super team. So let's say the Lakers create the super team. Here's what the NBA is currently going to have. Let's put one team up. Clay, Draymond, Kevin Durant, Steph. That is a dynasty. That is a super team. That's the 3 all-stars. That is a super team. So you have one right now, and Rob hates the super teams. And then if the Lakers get one, okay, let's put a picture up there. Well, that's pretty super-duper too. So you'd have Paul George, LeBron, Kawhi Leonard, Brandon Ingram. That's a pretty super team. Say what you want. That'd be a super team. Oh, wait. We got another one because I just watched the Celtics play, and Kyrie Irving's the best closer in the game. Al Horford's a B-plus player. Gordon Hayward's an all-star. And Jason Tatum looks really, really, really special.
You really think that's a super team?
That is not a super team. They are going to run the East for a decade.
There's nobody there. They should run the East. Who's in the way?
By the way,
Philadelphia?
Here's what we're going to have. Here's another one. Let me show another picture up there, Rob. Oh, wait. You got 2 Hall of Famers. Clint Capella, Eric Gordon. Oh,
that's a super team?
They won 70 games.
And did you see what they did in the finals? They missed 27 straight three-pointers and 29 out of 30. That's a super team?
Led the Warriors 3-2, and Chris Paul got hurt. And by the way,
Chris Paul gets hurt every postseason.
Here's another team that's one player away. Simmons, Embiid, Dario Saric. They land one guy.
Yeah, Kawhi. They can land Kawhi right there. There you go.
By the way, you hate all these super teams. The NBA now has 4, and Philadelphia is a half, scratching the door. Really gifted 65-win teams.
So what do we do? What does the other 26 teams in NBA America do? What should they do?
Do you care about the Tampa Bay Rays in baseball? There's got to be somebody at the bottom.
Yeah, but the only problem is the whole rest of the league in the NBA is at the bottom.
Oh, Portland.
You know that every year.
New Orleans, Milwaukee.
They can't win. You know they can't
Spurs.
win. They can't win.
How many teams in baseball can win the World Series this year?
You know what? It's more of a crapshoot than anybody knows. That's the difference. Here you go, Colin. You ready for your quiz?
Yeah.
All right. Last time that a National League team went back-to-back to win a championship. When was the last time a National League team won back-to-back World Series?
I don't know. Cincinnati Reds, 70.
76, 77, right?
Cincinnati
75,
Reds.
76,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Last time an American League team won back-to-back.
Yankees.
What year?
98, 99.
99, 2000. This is what I'm talking about. It's been years. You don't have the same teams win over and over.
Did you ever like the NBA? Because you do realize.
Yes, I covered the league. I told you I love the NBA.
By the way, when Detroit, your beloved team, was beating the living you-know-what out of Jordan and dominating the league for 4 years, by the way, you do realize Philadelphia, first of all, in the 70s, Elvin Hayes, Wes Unseld, Kevin Greavy, Chenier won more games than anybody. And then, oh, by the way, then Magic came in and Bird came in and they dominated the league for 12 years. And Michael came in, he dominated the league. And then LeBron comes in. You do realize Shaq and Kobe came in and Showtime.
Yeah, but can I give you the example?
We've always had 2 or 3 big dogs that win.
There's no doubt that they're always in the mix. But, Colin, you've never had more than the same 2 teams going to the finals more than 2 years in a row until now.
But they won't.
This is what happened. It's 4 years, could be. The Warriors going a 5th year in a row. It's unprecedented. It's never happened more than twice. And the 2004 Pistons are the team that I admire the most.
Oh, yeah.
They beat Kobe. They beat Shaq. They beat Karl Malone. They beat Gary Payton. They put together with 4 Hall of Famers, future Hall of Famers, and that team won a championship.
It's funny.
That team, to me, is a team that I would wrap my hands around more than any other team.
By the way, they acquired Dennis Rodman in a trade. Isn't that funny? They added a great player to a championship-level team.
You're talking about the Bulls. I get it. I'm not saying that
I'm talking about the Pistons.
Well, when they got Rodman.
Yeah, pretty good player.
Yes, but I'm just saying.
Oh, you're bragging about the 2004. Oh,
2004
good God!
Pistons.
Literally, they're at the bottom of the sea.
What are you talking about?
They're not even a minnow. They're a sea urchin. Nobody cares about them. That's the most boring championship team ever.
No, it wasn't. That was a great team. That was a team that came together.
Yeah.
And that's the last real team in the NBA right
those
there.
Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince games where I couldn't turn them off.
Chauncey Billups, Mr. Big
Shot.
Shot.
Do you go to Whole Foods and buy generic goods, or do you like the nice stuff you've heard of?
Generic is cheaper.
God. By the way, Joey, he is a generic fan.
I am a generic fan also. Nobody goes to Whole Foods to buy the generic brand, though.
I like Great. Sorry if you don't like Great.
Only problem, Colin, you ready?
Yeah.
When you buy the generic, guess who makes the generic biscuits? Pillsbury makes the generic biscuits. Do you know that?
Yeah.
Okay, so what you're still buying from Pillsbury, they just put a different label on it. They still own the market. Generics. Heinz ketchups, they make the cheap ketchup too.
The most watched NBA teams in the history of the league are the Showtime Lakers, Jordan's Bulls, Bird Celtics, LeBron and the Warriors. You do get everybody else except Rob Parker loves super teams and dynasties. My favorite college football team, the Miami Hurricanes. They're crushing people for 15 years. They were hot dogging and being... This whole thing about people want Rip Hamilton and Ben Wallace, God, people in Birmingham, Alabama got bored with that team. Birmingham, Michigan, excuse me.
But they get tired here from the same old. And you know what? If you guys enjoy it, I'm telling you, ask Charles Barkley. He said it too. The NBA at points during the regular, it's unwatchable. There's 20 teams that are just total wasteland.
By the way, Kawhi Leonard told Popovich yesterday, I don't want to be a Spur.
Nice.
Can't you acknowledge that is some mettle, some moxie, some toughness?
That's fine. I respect his right to want to trade. I'm not helping him. I'm not blocking my path as time goes on. So I tip my cap to him. He has that right to say he wants to be moved. I respect Kawhi's ability to even say that to Pop. But I also think Pop is a little more stubborn than you guys give him. And I don't think that he's going to be a guy to just facilitate to help the Lakers.
Stubborn?
I'll be the first one when they make that trade to the Lakers. You bring me on, and I'll say I was wrong. And when they don't trade him, I want you to have me on.
This could be the last time for you.
Is that right?
I don't know.
Joy, don't let that happen. Come on, Joy.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, by the way, we could bring you on for Ben Wallace, Tayshaun Prince stories from the past. The halcyon days of the NBA. Those are unforgettable moments. Final hour coming up. Lee Jenkins stopping by the show. 1 to go, 2 down the herd. This is The Herd. Wherever you may be and however you may be listening, live in Los Angeles, hour number 3, iHeartRadio, Fox Sports Radio, FS1. The Herd sponsored by Firestone Complete Auto Care. Keep your car running newer longer. Joy Taylor is joining us. She is now getting full benefits as a member of The Herd, including insurance coverage. We love having her here. She's our new teammate. She is awesome. And she, like me, can't even wrap my arms around petty Rob Parker. And Joy acknowledges she's petty and she can't figure it out.
You know, I think he speaks for a lot of fans that say that they don't like super teams. And then when you present fans with the fact that some of the most popular teams in the history of not just the NBA, but all of major sports have, I don't know, multiple stars on them.
Yeah.
That's what you need to win championships
Yeah.
in general. It flies in the face of everything they're saying. Look at the Cowboys. We always talk about big brands. People hate the Cowboys, right?
Right.
But they're always watching.
Yeah. Let me start with it. We had Baker Mayfield on earlier. And I've got a rule on this show. If I roast you, I invite you on the show. Okay? I've invited Johnny Manziel, Russell Westbrook, Richie Incognito came, T.O. came, LeVar Ball came, Baker Mayfield came today. And to his credit, he said we could ask him anything we want. He put up no qualifiers. By the way, when I was at ESPN, Bobby Knight didn't have the guts to come on my show because he put up qualifiers. Cowherd can't ask me about bang, bang, bang. Baker Mayfield didn't. Brah, ask me anything. And we did. I talked about his police video. I don't like it. I don't like quarterbacks getting wrestled by fat donut-eating cops and can't outrun them. And Baker Mayfield sat there, took the question, knew I was going to ask it. It was uncomfortable, and here's how it went.
Was never directly in trouble, but then when they were asking me questions, for some reason, I thought I was in trouble. There is so much regret about that because if I didn't run, there would have been
Nobody
nothing
cares.
ever. No, ever. You wouldn't have said that I was undraftable, and then nobody would probably have been questioning me about being the next dropout of football. That was a rude awakening to responsibility and accountability for me, that a lesson that was harshly learned. Yeah, I could have learned it over time, but that was just very eye-opening for me.
Home run answer. Isn't it funny when you have the guts to come on a show and take all the tough questions and you answer them as smartly as that? It made me like Baker Mayfield. That's how grown-ups answer questions. Tip of the cap to Baker. Didn't say we couldn't ask about it. Did. Great answer. I also gave him crap about a piece of video that drives me crazy, and he didn't like it at all, and I thought this was kind of funny.
Our band is over there, our student section's right there, and then straight back to our sideline. Did you watch the rest of the game? So you saw me celebrate with my teammates like the 3 touchdowns before that too? I feel like you're going for the fact that I'm not a team guy. I'm selfish. Is that what you're shooting at right here or what?
He didn't like it. But that's okay. He was willing to come on the show, spar with the host. I didn't like the video. I don't like him scoring a touchdown and running over to the band, run over to your teammates. And he said, what are you saying, I'm selfish? Again, not afraid to compete on this show. He didn't back down. I didn't back down. Good radio. And by the way, I've called him undersized. Now, I think he's a prospect. Like I get people who drafted him, but I think as a number 1 pick, I don't think you take a number 1 pick who runs a 4.85, 2-time walk-on is undersized, and I addressed his size.
But today's game is different than Hall of Famers.
How?
It's faster. It's not nearly as physical. You have options on your run plays to throw the ball. You're trying to make a defense wrong by numbers. It's not just your typical call play, smash mouth football. So you don't need a guy that's 6'5" to sit behind in the pocket and sit there every down and throw. You need somebody that's going to be able to manage the team, make those guys around him better. It doesn't matter the size. When it comes to that, all of that's out the window. And just be able to get a W.
Again, good answer. Real question, good answer. I do think he's undersized. Sat down, didn't duck anything, didn't qualify anything, said we could ask anything, even came on the show. I thought this was funny. He created a shirt that said undraftable, taking a shot at me, and we both got a good laugh, and he left me one in my dressing room. Baker Mayfield won today. Baker Mayfield won today. Baker Mayfield had the guts to come on a show. By the way, LeVar Ball came on this show a week ago. Didn't love everything he said, but I said afterwards, he said some things I didn't think of. By the way, nonsense is easy to ignore. There's a reason I get responded to more than any American radio show host. Any. Remember Dabo Sweeney after the national championship on the other network calling me out? Remember this?
The guy that called us a fraud. Ask Alabama if we're a fraud. Was his name Colin Coward? Ask him. I don't never met him. Don't know him. Ask him if we're Alabama if we're a fraud. Ask Ohio State if we're a fraud. Ask Oklahoma if we're a fraud. The only fraud is that guy because he didn't do his homework. I hope y'all print that.
By the way, you don't respond to nonsense. What I had said about Clemson was I watched you 6 times during October. You struggled to beat North Carolina State. You were going to overtime with bad teams. Nobody responds to nonsense. If you call George Clooney ugly, he doesn't respond. If you say his last 2 movies have been bad, that stings because there's some truth in it. Baker Mayfield heard what we said, and Dabo Sweeney heard, and Enos Kanter heard, and Donovan Mitchell heard, and Westbrook's heard. We don't make stuff up here. We find facts, we go after them, we invite them on the show, we spar, but the win today was Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield won today. You could not watch that interview and not think, I kind of like him. He didn't take Cowherd's crap. He went right after Cowherd. You couldn't watch that and not like him. You couldn't watch that and think anything other than he was good. He didn't give that big blowhard on radio. He didn't give him any room. He went right after Cowherd. Baker Mayfield won today because he had the guts. He heard the criticism to confront the criticism and answer the criticism. Good for him. I thought he was great. Car shopping's confusing. Dealer price, list price, invoice. TrueCar shows you what other people paid before you get there. You could save $3,000 off MSRP. A former player for my second home country besides the United States, England, where my late mother was from, Warren Barton, a Fox Sports soccer analyst, on the call for the World Cup tomorrow, Brazil, Costa Rica. Your national team did not get to the World Cup, so you did not play in a World Cup.
No, unfortunately, I never.
And it's painful.
It is painful, and unfortunately, it was here as well in '94. I was involved with France in '98, but never made the actual roster. But it's nice to be involved in this World Cup because it's been exciting. It's been fantastic.
By the way, I'm a radio guy here. We talk about big stars. Over in Europe and Argentina, they have talk radio too, and Messi and Ronaldo are their Michael Jordan, LeBron. I've always been a Ronaldo guy over a Messi guy because my belief, Warren, is if I have to choose, I'll choose the bigger athlete. They're more durable. They often last longer. As long as we're even on everything, Ronaldo has been absolutely unbelievable in this World Cup. Do you think, in the argument all time, Ronaldo has separated himself a little in the last 4 days?
Definitely, no doubt about that. You know, the hat-trick against Spain, the confidence that he showed. I don't think, and bringing basketball into it, there's any better athlete in the biggest moment, in the clutch moment, and I've put LeBron James into that, Tom Brady. When the pressure is on, he thrives at it. He wants that attention, and there's no better athlete in the world doing that, in my opinion. He stepped up to the plate. It's a good organised team. It's a well-drilled team, and they've got a superstar, arguably the best player of his generation. He's like a fine wine. He's getting better with age.
Now, Messi's interesting. His mother says, he's cried this national team thing. It's getting at him. Could I make the argument, let me make this a little bit of a domestic argument, that Ronaldo is MJ. He's better in the clutch, and Messi's got a little LeBron where he's good, but he's not quite as good in the clutch.
I don't know. I'm a big LeBron fan, and I see Michael Jordan play as well. I think maybe with Messi, what he is a team player. With Barcelona, although he's that superstar in the team, he thinks about the team first and foremost, where Ronaldo and maybe even Jordan was about him and what he can do for the team and progress that forward. But Messi, after this penalty miss that he had, he stood in the centre circle for about 40, 45 seconds and looked to beat a man. And with the pressure of Diego Maradona, who won this competition in '86 for Argentina, that seems to be suffocating him. And he is a team player. He wants the best for his nation. But it just seemed after then that the pressure is suffocating him and he's not enjoying the game. Where on you look at Ronaldo in the other game, he's
joyful,
smiling, taking his shirt off. A bit like you coming to work.
Yes, I just stripped. What does Messi do better than Ronaldo? Is there something that you look, Warren, as a soccer analyst and a former player and think, oh boy, he's better than Ronaldo at what?
He's better at dribbling and better at assist. I think when Messi gets the ball, he's always got half an eye looking for his teammates. When Ronaldo gets it, 9 times out of 10, he's going on his own and looking to vert the goal. Going back to what we said with the personalities. Ronaldo, it's about me, give me the ball, I'll make it happen. Messi, I'm going to go, but if I see a better option, I'm going to find a pass.
I always, watching soccer, I was attracted to Brazil.
Are we the same age? We must be roughly, because that's...
Brazil always
You didn't answer that question.
They're just magical.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing I'm trying to think in American sports, what I can compare Brazil to. I don't know. It's almost like hockey is Canada's sport, and soccer feels like Brazil's sport. And I know it's not. I don't know where soccer originated from. And I watch Brazil the other day, and I'm like, oh, Lord, they're so gifted. Why aren't they more dominant?
I think because the rest of the world has got better. And the game started back in England many, many centuries ago. And you should know that being an Englishman.
I should know that.
I've told you something.
I know
new,
my
so.
King Henry VIII history, and I don't know that. You think maybe everybody's catching up?
Yeah, people are catching up. And also with Brazil, with the expectations that they have. And you're right, every time I see a yellow shirt, and my last England cap was against Brazil, they make you smile because of what they did in the 70s and the 74 World Cup and the gifted players that they've had, obviously coming here in 94 and winning the competition with the likes of Neymar. They play with fun. They play with expression. And I think people relate to that. They're sexy to watch. You look at the stand, I'm calling the game tomorrow, and you'll go into the stand, and everybody is having fun, and they're enjoying the game. They're involved in the game emotionally and physically.
You know what they remind me of, Joy? You would know this. They remind me of the dynasty with the Miami Hurricanes. It just felt different than college football. It wasn't quite pro football, but it wasn't college football.
It's the swag, Colin.
It was just, and Brazil is such a joy to watch. Now, I want to talk about Mexico. I was shocked they beat Germany. Was that an upset? Are they better than we think? Mexico has a history. They get to the World Cup, and they'll win a game or two. Is this Mexico team different?
And I think that result will give them that confidence. They've never got to Game 5. And I think they surprised the Germans with the game plan that they had earlier on was to press, put the Germans out of their comfort zone. I think the Germans come into this tournament very German-like, very organised, disciplined, but a little bit of as Joyce said, a little bit of a swagger about, we're Germany. You're not Brazil. You're not Argentina. You're the Germans for a reason. And you're efficient. You're reliable. And it just threw the Germans off with the style of football that the Mexicans did. The pressure that was put under. Then they sat back and said, go and have the ball. Are you good enough to beat us? And I think Mexico will grow into this competition. It was a big, big statement. I mean, it really set the tournament alive because everybody was like...
It really did. Warren Barton joining us. He'll be calling the Brazil-Costa Rica game tomorrow. Played for Team England. Okay. Wayne Rooney. Now it's Kane. They have a star. England, though, to me, has always been... if you just said England...
Be careful.
I know. If you said England in World Cup, I'd be like, they always win about a game less than they should. They just always leave a game early. Is that fair? Why is that? Is it the enormous pressure? Is it the... I'll throw something out. Is the EPL so intense that it wears down players, that they face this incredible English Premier League, and by the time they get qualifying, I'm guessing.
No, you're right on the nail, hitting the nail on the head there, because it is the Premier League is maybe not the most technical league.
It's the most physical.
It's the most physical, and it's relentless. You don't get a break at Christmas. You go from game to game to game, domestic, and the players are fatigued. I was part of that for 10 years, being involved with the national team and playing in the Premier League. It does take its toll where teams have a winter break. The game's a lot slower, maybe in La Liga in France.
In La Liga, there's 2 or 3 great teams, and then you get some really easy wins. English Premier League, you just don't.
No, it's like, as I said, it's 2 middleweights just going toe-to-toe for 13, 14 rounds and trying to get a result, whether you're the bottom, whether you're the top, whether you're Manchester United or whether you're down at the bottom. So there's no easy games. There's no given games. The game is frenetic as well, whether it's the first minute or the last minute. But England, this is a group of young players with Harry Kane involved, the leader and the captain. He's a player that scores goals. Obviously 2 set pieces that he did against Tunisia would give the boys some confidence. And they've got Gareth Southgate. I was involved with him with England. He's a good coach. He's a good man. Young, enthusiastic about the game, and that may get them so far. That may get them out the group. It may even get them to the quarterfinals. And it's like anything. If you get a team or a group of young players that are on a roll and have confidence, it can be a dangerous team.
Warren Barton, see you in the halls all the time. Love having you on.
Pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
Lee Jenkins around the corner broke the story on LeBron back to Cleveland. Does he have inside information? Car shopping's confusing, a lot of different terms. Dealer price, list price. Here's what's not. Save $3,000 off MSRP. NBA draft is tonight. Couple of players I like, couple of players I think are overrated. But if you're the Cleveland Cavaliers, Joey Taylor, and you want to keep LeBron James, you've only got 2 assets. You got the number 8 draft pick, and you got Kevin Love.
But we want to keep Kevin Love, Colin.
Okay, this idea, and I've read this, they don't want to trade Kevin Love, and they don't want to trade that number 8 draft pick. You do get that draft picks are so exciting until you draft them. Draft picks are like that car in the showroom. Nobody has it yet. Nobody's owned it yet. It's shiny. It's new. It's hopeful. The number 8 pick in the showroom. It's beautiful. Put rims on that baby. I'll be the coolest cat in the world. There's the number 8 pick. It could be a superstar. Make my life better. I'll win titles. And the minute you drive that car out of the showroom onto the street, it's Buddy Hield. It's a Datsun. You do get the number 8 pick. Has not produced an all-star since 1993. And I'm telling you, in the last 18 years, 2000 to 2018, I'll put the names up. Here's the last 20 years, number 8 pick. Good God, folks. I think half these guys are out of the league. The last all-star was in 93, Vin Baker. You trade that pick. You trade Kevin Love. You don't just sit in your hands. Are you watching what the Lakers are doing? They're making all sorts of moves. Got a second-round pick last night. Kawhi Leonard told Popovich no thanks. Paul George working out in town. In the news every 5 minutes. Draft picks are the shiny car in the showroom. They get everybody worked up. But the minute you drive them out of the showroom onto the street, they lose 30% of their value. And that number 8 pick, history tells us, is a Datsun, not a Maserati. Here's Joy Taylor with the news.
No. Turn on the news. This is the Herdline News.
All right, Colin, we have a Kawhi Leonard update for you. According to a tweet from Woj, the Spurs are willing listeners for Kawhi trade proposals. but aren't proactively shopping him. So they're pretty much just saying, send us a proposal, we'll put it on the board. And here's the second and key parts. The Lakers and Spurs have had no dialogue as of now.
Yeah, I wouldn't think the Lakers and Spurs have talked yet. Now, I do believe we have a report that the Spurs and Kawhi talked yesterday,
right.
And Kawhi said no thanks. But to this point, I'm not surprised they haven't talked yet.
It's interesting, though. Do you think that LeBron and Kawhi have talked yet?
Ooh, I'll ask Lee Jenkins. That's good. I don't know. That's good.
You can steal that one. Some more basketball news. The Nets acquired Dwight Howard yesterday via a trade with the Hornets. We know that June 20th is National Trade Dwight Howard Day, so that was bound to happen. According to a report by Chris Haynes, Dwight Howard has asked for a buyout and is currently in talks with the Nets about it, which, if that were to happen, it would make him a free agent. Now, when we mentioned this yesterday, you talked about how he's kind of an outdated player.
Yeah.
His position.
He's not terrible. He still gives you like 17, 10.
He still does give you great numbers, but does that translate to winning? Where is a place Dwight Howard could go that would translate to winning?
Yeah, that's funny. Greg
The
just
Warriors?
said in my ear, he said Warriors. Yeah, if he's willing to play 13 minutes a night, it'd be fun. It's kind of I kind of like to see him there. He hates me, but I don't hate him.
I don't hate Dwight Howard. I've never known what to make of Dwight Howard. He has a superstar quality, but he can't seem to work out anywhere.
Yeah.
So it would be interesting with the Warriors, and because of his name, that would just be another reason for everyone to flip out about the Warriors. And finally, Luka Doncic. We've talked about the NBA draft tonight. You don't really love him. You don't think he's very athletic.
He looks like a nice player to me, but I don't see him as a super athletic game changer. I think, I'd love to have him on my team if he's as good as they say, and I think he's a nice basketball player, but boy, he doesn't pop on video.
He's from Slovenia, and he's expected to go in the top 5. And he was asked about his goals for the future, and he had some interesting answers, according to his Bleacher Report interview. Let's listen to the video of him explaining his goals.
Year 1, I want to win the Rookie of the Year. I want a Boston National Genius. Sorry, KP. Year 2, I want my own signature shoes. All NBA, playoffs, All-Star. Year 3, I think I'll need a new car or 2. And then maybe appear in his ring song. He used to call me on my cell phone. And then I'm gonna shoot my shot. Hey Jen, you up? Year 4, MVP of the league. Year 5, we're finally winning NBA champions. It's all about the ring.
It's kind of funny.
So he can make fun of himself a little bit, and he has some good goals in there. MVP and a championship is a good goal to have. He also wants to buy a tiger like Mike Tyson.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe just get a tattoo. Posterizing Kristaps is interesting, but I don't know if that's a goal he's going to actually.
Listen.
Achieve.
When you watch all the video of him, he looks like a nice NBA player. He does not look like athletically he's going to pop. Some guys, you watch the video and you're like, oh, okay, that's different. He looks like a nice NBA player. He doesn't look like a number 1 pick to me, but we could have a draft maybe that we don't have a dominant. Marvin Bagley at Duke's the best player I watched this year, I thought easily. He was the best, college to pro player. I saw him play 6-7 times. That's the guy I'd make number 1. And I didn't think it was that close. So.
I heard that Jennifer's single, so.
Jennifer Aniston, yes.
Yeah, shoot your shot.
I thought she just got married or something.
I think that did not work out.
Okay. Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line News.
Over a decade, he's been a senior writer at Sports Illustrated. Also, The Crossover, Sports Illustrated's new NBA home. He's profiled the league's biggest stars, including breaking the LeBron James back to Cleveland story and Kevin Durant. He's our friend Lee Jenkins on the show today. The NBA draft is tonight. Lee Jenkins, how did we get you today? You're a busy guy. I can't even believe we got you today.
What, the number 8 pick is that big a deal now? It's like, I'm looking at these names. I'm thinking, why even bother with the draft? Why not just trade all the picks?
Well, it's weird. Half the NFL is undrafted, which is remarkable.
Right.
The NBA, most guys have been drafted, and most guys, the great players, have been drafted mostly top 15. A lot of bigs in this draft. I haven't given it a lot of attention. Marvin Bagley at Duke looks really good to me. The kid at Arizona looks like a ridiculous athlete. Then I'm just guessing. Cleveland tonight.
Yeah.
Can they do something? They've got Kevin Love's an asset. Number 8 pick's an asset. Do they just sit there and say, well, if LeBron leaves, we're going to keep him, or do they make a move? What do you do?
That's what's difficult, right? Is Kawhi Leonard in play for them? If Kawhi Leonard really wants out of San Antonio and you're the Spurs, don't you deal him tonight? I mean, isn't that the time? Otherwise, it's basically we're talking about the Lakers, the Celtics, the Sixers. If you're going to deal him tonight, potentially, you could take advantage of a GM who's willing to give you picks. A team like the Clippers would be involved with their 2 lottery picks. And the Cavs could be there, right? With the 8th pick, maybe a 3-way trade with Kevin Love. I don't know what it would be, but it seems like the long shot for them, the Hail Mary, would be Kawhi Leonard. And if you're the Spurs and you really want to stick it to the Lakers and you don't want Kawhi Leonard to go to the Lakers, well, wouldn't you look to trade him to the Cavs and then you keep LeBron in the East and Kawhi in the East potentially? I don't know. I still think
it would work for
one
one more year. Yeah, like if Popovich just said, I'm going to be an old cranky guy and I'm going to trade Kawhi to Cleveland, I do think LeBron would stay in Cleveland for one more year.
But it all depends on what the Spurs think of these players in the draft. Do they like guys? Is there anybody that they've fallen in love with? And can they find a GM, maybe Sacramento, a team in the top 5, that would give them a top pick for Kawhi Leonard without any assurance that he would return or idea that he would return?
Lee, that's rough.
I know.
I could, if I'm a general manager, unless I'm like R.C. Buford, Daryl Morey, where my owner loves me. Man, maybe Danny Ainge.
To take that shot. Oklahoma City took the shot.
I don't like it.
Yeah. So you would so if you're the Spurs, or you don't think a team will do it essentially unless it's the Lakers, Celtics, Sixers.
I
Cavs.
believe. First of all, I've always been for player mobility. Owners move, GMs fire, coaches replace. A player gets maybe 1 year of leverage in his whole career.
Right.
And I totally back what Kawhi Leonard did. Kawhi's like, I'm an overachiever in high school. I was an overachiever in college. I'm an overachiever in the NBA. You called me out through Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili.
Right.
I'm done here. So Kawhi says, unlike Kyrie, who gave a list of teams, but luckily ended up with a great team, Kawhi says, I'm going there. And it traps teams.
Right.
Spurs are done. What are they going to do? What GM... I mean, I love Daryl Morey. Maybe he rolls the dice for a year and does it, but my takeaway is the Spurs are trapped. So
they're more trapped if they wait, right? If they don't do it today, then it's essentially becomes a Laker deal, doesn't it? Or with the Sixers and the Celtics maybe on the periphery of it, because then the draft isn't a part of it. And maybe the Spurs don't like anybody in the top 10 anyway, and so they don't really care if a draft pick is a part of a Kawhi Leonard trade.
If you ran Cleveland, Lee Jenkins, today, what would you do? What would be...
Well, this would be the number one option. And let's say this is too much of a long shot. Maybe it's too far-fetched.
So
they don't have the assets to get Leonard.
I don't think
that's
they
off
do.
The board.
I don't think they do.
I would make the deal for Kemba Walker. I would trade the 8th pick for Kemba Walker. I understand that Kemba Walker isn't Paul George and Kawhi Leonard in a super team, but what are you going to get there? You just have the names. I mean, all of these picks to me, once you hit... I mean, what are you talking about? We're talking about 10% that you're going to hit on these picks. Otherwise, what? It's Malik Monk, right? They're good players. Usually, you can get they're rotation players. But I would rather have Kemba Walker and still keep my hopes that I would re-sign LeBron.
Kemba Walker, LeBron, Kevin Love,
and you take your chances. I look. It's not ideal. It's not an ideal situation. You're asking me what I would do with that pick, unless there's somebody Cleveland is in love with. But to me, when you in love with or not, the chances of hitting on Donovan Mitchell is just really slim.
You know, are you surprised that this Paul George, Kawhi, LeBron freeway, since Magic got here, has worked very quickly? This thing's picking up steam. 2 years ago, this was the most dysfunctional team not called, Sacramento in the league.
Right.
They aced last year's draft. Now suddenly a bunch of guys want to play for them. Do we just give Magic credit? I mean, I always liked Mitch Kupchak, but, Lee, in the last year, they nailed last year's draft. All 3 guys can play. All 4 can, actually. And now I got guys lining up, going public through their uncle or going...
Right.
How much of this is just...
I think it was inevitable as long as they were even. The Lakers were always going to have advantages. This idea that the Laker exceptionalism is dead, that was never the case. They couldn't have nothing. They couldn't go into the market with nothing and expect guys to sign with them. They had to at least pull even as far as some young players, some salary cap space, some draft picks. They were bad for a long time. When you're bad, you're going to get some good players through the draft. They did it traditionally. And yeah, then you add magic and you put kind of a sheen on the thing. And some of those young players play well. And a player like LeBron can look at that roster and say, well, there's some talent there. Those guys could grow. They could also be traded. They're also trade assets. They have salary cap space. That was one kind of master stroke that they made, I think. Getting off that Mozgov contract, having that room, and then making another deal with the Clarkson contract, which looked incredible in the finals. So then they have a second slot. So yeah, they've made good moves. They've taken advantage of LA. It's all kind of working for them. It will work, whether it's this summer or next summer, they will be back soon.
Do you believe we have a deal tonight of size? Maybe seismic or not. If I said tonight, bet, what happens?
But is that Kawhi? That's
just seismic to me?
Well, of course, but is that the only... Is Kemba Walker seismic? Or is Kawhi the only deal that to you would be seismic?
I would say if the Cavs add an all-star player, yeah, that's a seismic. Now, it's not going to change the league,
Right.
but if LeBron stays in Cleveland, it's changed the league.
Right.
So do you think we have a deal tonight of note?
There is sort of a feeling of chaos around the
There
league.
is.
There's a feeling of unrest. Like everybody is trying. People are trying to move, and people get desperate. And to me, I mean, I would have to believe that these draft picks become really overvalued as you get to, it feels like Christmas morning, right? And then this is the new car syndrome, not to mix metaphors, but the minute you make the pick, does it diminish in value?
Of course.
It seems like it does.
By the way, Lakers went out and got another second-round pick last night. Second-round picks do not count against the cap.
Right.
It feels like to me this is a prelude to something.
Well, yeah, they hope that they are going to stack stars this summer. And if they don't stack stars this summer, they'll stack them next summer. It's going to happen. It's pretty much inevitable at this point.
Popovich has always been, if not beloved, sort of he's NBA royalty.
Right, of course.
Seems like he kind of whiffed on Kawhi. Does this ding his legacy?
Do we know? Do we know that lunch that lunch backfired on him?
Well, yeah, there was a story this morning that said that Kawhi and Greg met, and Kawhi said, I'm on out.
Yeah.
Does it ding his legacy?
I don't know that it dings his legacy, Colin. I think, it's like LeBron James lost a star sort of last summer, right? I mean, a star wanted out. A star this summer wants out from the Spurs. No one is untouchable. Everybody has something that they want to achieve that is oftentimes runs contrary to what they have in their market. So winning isn't often the only thing. There's winning on a player's own terms. Does LeBron's legacy get dinged because Kyrie wanted out of there? Or is it more that Kyrie wanted to become a bigger star and have a bigger platform and showcase more of what he could do? I don't know. I have a hard time kind of blaming the one left behind.
Do you think LeBron would come here without assurances either Kawhi or Paul follows him?
I think that he can be pretty confident, and that's what this market, that's what LA has to offer him, is this idea that even if he isn't the main attraction moving forward toward the last chapter of his career, even if when he isn't the main attraction, he will still be able to pull players to the Lakers. They will still be able to get players because they exist as an entity and a draw even beyond him or separate from him. So I don't know that he even needs the assurance, because the assurance, it's implied, isn't it? There's no way if he came to the Lakers and they have another max slot that slot's not going to get filled by a player who really wants to win. And this is where you're dividing between the players, and there is a division right now in the NBA between the players who want the super teams and the players who want to front their own franchise. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with either. Paul George is in the camp where he wants to win.
Do you think LeBron has talked to Kawhi or Paul, or their camps at least?
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I have to assume there's going to be dialogue if there hasn't been with Paul George specifically. I don't know that Kawhi's the kind of guy who has these sorts of long probing conversations.
He's not a conversationalist.
Unless LeBron's a really good interviewer.
I believe Paul George is going to be a Laker. Do you?
If I had to guess, but I also think he had a better experience in Oklahoma City than a lot of people probably think he did, and I don't believe he's written that out as of now. I think that even though they didn't win big, I think he sort of enjoyed his time there. I don't think I know your guy Russell Westbrook. I think he enjoyed playing with him maybe more than some people think. I still think they're a player in this.
Good stuff. Lee Jenkins, the crossover, Sports Illustrated senior writer since 2007. NBA, who would you take number one, by the way? I take Marvin Begley at Duke. Do you watch college basketball at all? He's the best player I saw.
No, I'd take Ayton.
Would?
I would take Ayton. But this is such a strange draft, right? All these bigs, we're told all year that bigs don't matter, and now everybody wants a big.
I know.
So, and it's like with Bagley, it's like everybody loves Bagley, but can he shoot? Can he shoot threes?
He can shoot. Yeah, I mean, again, he can shoot. I always, if a guy's weakness is shooting, I'm always like, give him a couple years. Because a lot of guys come into this league and can't shoot. A lot of guys.
Kawhi Leonard.
So if you can't jump, you can't jump. If you don't have length, you don't have length. If you're a bad teammate, you're a bad teammate. You can go from an average shooter to a shooter.
Yeah.
Got no classes. You know, you're playing 80 games, working out, trainers, shooters. Lee Jenkins, good stuff. By the way, coming up, there's one thing Brady will always have over Jimmy Garoppolo. We'll tell you the next in Best for Last. The Herd.
For the 7th time in the 2018 FIFA World Cup, it's video review, VAR.
Referee has now taken a look at it. He's changing his decision and going to penalty kick.
Spot on. It took 35 seconds, if that. Correct call.
The 5th penalty awarded in this World Cup on a change due to VAR. Mila Jedinak, cool as you like to equalize for Australia. 1-1, courtesy of the captain.
World Cup action continues with 3 great games coming your way tomorrow. It all kicks off as Neymar and Brazil face off with Costa Rica at 7 a.m. Eastern on FS1. Then head over to Fox for a pair of big matchups starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. Or stream it all live on the Fox Sports app.
By the way, Iceland and Switzerland are fascinating. How is Switzerland that good? It's a small country surrounded by great soccer powers. Switzerland is good. I thought Switzerland was all about mountains and swimming and chocolate. Switzerland always shocks me when I watch them play. I'm like, how are they that good? I get Germany's history, England's history, Brazil's history. Switzerland's a real team. They play tomorrow. Okay, we call it Best for Last.
After almost 3 hours, Colin apparently hasn't gotten to the point yet. Quit holding out on us, cowherd. It's the best for last.
So Bleacher Report, it's on the interweb. They had a big story yesterday that came out, and they talked about the 10 quarterbacks in the NFL that had the most support. And they were talking about wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. And I thought, yeah, okay, sure, fine. But those quarterbacks' jobs are easier. I thought, let's give love to quarterbacks who have to carry their franchise or their offense. So off of Bleacher Report's 10 quarterbacks with the most support, I thought I'd give you my list of the 5 quarterbacks with the least support and why we should embrace them. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers. His best receiver is Devontae Adams. He has never had a 1,000-yard receiving season. And of his 3 running backs, Jamal Williams averaged 3.6 yards a carry, Ty Montgomery averaged 3.8 yards a carry, and the third guy, Aaron Jones, is small and got hurt a lot. Nobody has to carry his offense quite like Aaron Rodgers.
Number 2.
Russell Wilson led the Seahawks last year in rushing. More than double the best running back on the Seahawks, Mike Davis. And the Seahawks have not had a 1,200-yard receiver in 16 years. Russell Wilson wasn't even in college at that. I'm not sure he was in high school. That was Corin Robinson. Outside of Aaron Rodgers, nobody has to carry their offense quite like Russell Wilson.
Number 3.
Andrew Luck. They added Ryan Grant as their number 2 wide receiver. He had a whopping 84 yards last year. And by the way, their lead running back is Marlon Mack, a 4th-round pick last year out of South Florida, who averaged 3.8 yards a carry last year. Good news, though, he should have a better offensive line. That's why I only put him at 3rd.
Number 4.
I love Jimmy Garoppolo's coach, but they have no wide receiver on the 49ers roster who had more than 2 touchdown catches all of last year. By the way, their top 2 running backs, Jerick McKinnon from Minnesota and Matt Breida. McKinnon's their home run hitter. He averaged 3.6 yards a carry. And it should be duly noted, they are still in the process of rebuilding that offensive line, and many believe they reached with the number 10 pick to get a tackle. That's how bad their offensive line is.
Number 5.
Deshaun Watson. First of all, the Texans' O-line ain't great. I'm not going to name names. It's not good. Secondly, their running back of note is Lamar Miller, under 4 yards a carry. By the way, their tight ends last year accounted for 2 touchdowns. And that's why they drafted another tight end this year in the 3rd round. Now, they do have really, really nice wide receivers. DeAndre Hopkins is a home run hitter, and Will Fuller sometimes has the drops but can beat people and separate. But we see the list by Bleacher Report of all the quarterbacks that have all this great support. 1 through 5, here are my guys that have virtually no support. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers. Number 2, Russell Wilson. Number 3, Andrew Luck. Number 4, Jimmy Garoppolo. And number 5, Deshaun Watson. So today on the show, Baker Mayfield was willing to come on the show. Was willing to answer every single question we posed to him. Really appreciated that. I really appreciate LeVar Ball, Richie Incognito, Terrell Owens, people willing to come on the show when I've been critical. And I thought Baker today won the interview. My favorite moment, I asked him about the police video, and this was a big boy, adult, grown-up answer.
Was never directly in trouble, but then when they were asking me questions, for some reason, I thought I was in trouble. There is so much regret about that because if I didn't run, there would have been
Nobody
nothing
cares.
ever. No, ever. You wouldn't have said that I was undraftable, and then nobody would probably have been questioning me about being the next dropout of football. That was a rude awakening to responsibility and accountability for me, that a lesson that was harshly learned. Yeah, I could have learned it over time, but that was just very eye-opening for me.
That's a grown-up answer. My bad. Eye-opening, harsh reminder, embarrassed. Won't do it again. That's how you win the interview. You come on shows. Don't tell us we can't ask certain questions. Ask me anything. And when I do, and it's uncomfortable, you say stuff like that. Nice job, Baker Mayfield.